welcome to the War Master podcast. This is the first of a new series of unboxing videos. We'll be looking firstly at a new game coming in October 2020 called Argatoria by the Spellcrow company. And we're going to be looking at, firstly, these Rebuchons, who are warriors, and the code is SPCR0007. The way they've structured their game is a little bit interesting in that there were effectively two halves, and each half of the game has two factions, and each of those factions share quite a lot of troops. So, for example, Repolians feature in the Arox list as the Chosen, and they're a common unit type, and they feature in the Sorgax list as Nightmares, and they're elite unit type. So let's open up this box and see what you actually get. So let's turn it around. Get a little insert and some 4 plastic bases. They come on 20mm slaughter bases, and normally with this kind of miniature you have 2 miniatures per base. Minimum unit is 4 bases, and I believe the maximum unit size is 16 bases. So let's have a look at a unit. So you get these 4 sculpts, all with spears, and here's the reverse. Get a little ruler out so we can maybe measure them up, see what size they are. So that's just a fraction. That's like 9mm, that one, to the eye, but I think it's maybe because he's crouched over. This one, yeah, that's like 10mm. So they're true 10mm, which is cool. That's what you want. If you're playing a 10mm war game, you want your stuff to be 10mm scale. These are humanoid, even if they are froggy humanoid, like something out of I think it was the Phantom Menace, wasn't it? With not Jar Jar Binks, the ones that Brian Blessed played, the Gungan or Gungan. That was it. Here's the other 4. So are they the same 4? No, I don't think so. So there's quite a lot of character in these fellas. I think they're about €6, maybe €6.60 a blister, with free delivery over £50. If you were using these for War Master, this is going to be a common trade because obviously we're the War Master podcast, so we're talking primarily about War Master stuff. I reckon this is a 40 by 20 by 2mm base. So I reckon you don't need 8. If you got 2 packs, you could probably make do. It would obviously they look better if you could get 8 on each base. But then every miniature would be repeated on every base, so that's something you have to be aware of. But if you had 2 packs, that's 16 miniatures. You could have a base with 6 and 2 bases with 5. I'm pretty sure that would look pretty cool. It would give a bit of variety between the bases, give you some room to do some creative basing. So I think that's going to be something that I'm going to say over and over again, that I think it would be quite difficult to make a unit with a single pack, because you're talking about 8 miniatures, and you'd have to spread that over 3 bases. But if you bought 2 packs, and certainly 3 packs, then you'd have plenty of variety, and yeah, maybe you could spend, maybe get like 5 packs and spread it over a couple of units. And I think they do a deal generally, certainly on the rank and file stuff, not the command stuff, where you buy 4 units for the price of 3. So if you bought 4 units for the price of 3, you could then spread them out over 2 or 3 units of War Master stuff. So that's certainly something to look at. Our next unit that we're going to look at is Reptilians. These are the warriors. There's also Reptilians command group, and they're SPCR0002 and 0004. Now again, they appear in both lists, both the Arox and Sorgax list. They're in the Arox list, they're an elite choice, and they're called the Primevals. And in the Sorgax list, they're the common unit type, and they're called Tormentors. So again, you're actually collecting 2 armies for the price of 1 here, potentially, because Until you paint them and say, oh, these are Arox or Sorgags, you're actually collecting both, which it's a quite a novel idea. Okay, it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess the same thing can be said with Space Marines. I mean, you collect Space Marines, they're all different shapes and sizes of Space Marines, but at the end of the day, they're all Space Marines. So you can just say, this is my chapter of X, Y, and Z, and yeah, there you go. So we'll open up a pack of these. Let's see if I haven't done the back of this one, so I need to cut that open there, and that's all that keeps them in place. You take your little pack out. We've got 4 slaughter bases as usual, and the little art card, which is full of 28mm stuff generally. And we have here, we have our Spellcrow Reptilians. So can we get? Yeah, that's probably about the best we can get. So, like Sahuagins from D&D, I guess is the best thing I can describe them as. Sahuagin. I used to love playing against Sahuagins back in the day. AD&D back in the early 90s, late 80s. Good stuff. And that's so interesting little serrated edge here on the sword. Yeah, nice. These would work really well with contrast paint, because there's a lot of definition on the muscles and a lot of stuff going on the spines and on the swords and stuff. With a couple of, like a 2-tonal undercoat and then some contrast paint, which I may do soon actually with these fellas. I don't think you'd have to do a great deal of work to make them tabletop ready at all. So that's the first 4, and then we'll get the second 4 out. Yeah, mostly all swords. Oh yeah, all swords. And we'll get the ruler out so we can see them. And as I've said before, it may be a case you need more than 1 unit of these to make it work for War Master. These are considerably bigger. Oh no, considerably bigger than 10mm. So what's that? That's at least 13mm, isn't it? So these are, I mean, they are an elite choice for one of the armies, but they're certainly a bit bigger in scale. So what's that? 12mm. Yeah. So certainly a bit bigger than 10mm, these fellas. But I guess they're. I mean, if you were talking about fantasy, they'd be Saurus, wouldn't they? So Saurus were quite beefy specimens. So the fact they're a bit bigger than 10mm isn't necessarily a problem. And then the second half of the Reptilians, or they're going to be called Primevals or Tormentors, if we just open this one up again, is the command group. Now, the basic unit, I think it's about €6.60. I should really confirm that price before I keep talking about it. And I think the next time I mention this, I will have the actual number. I think the command groups are slightly more expensive, so maybe €8 something. But as I said, the next time I do talk about command groups, I will give you the exact price. So here's the command group. So for some reason these have got, it's not the first time I found them with round bases in. I'm sure that's just a packing issue, because I don't know what the point of the round base would be, because these aren't characters as far as I know. These are, I think we might have circular bases here because maybe these are characters, or maybe it's a packing issue. I'm not 100% sure of what that is, but I did look in another pack and they did have circular bases, so maybe these, I haven't seen any pictures of any characters in the beta rulebook. Maybe this command group is in fact the character group. There are some flags, we'll show you one on one. But if you were playing, say you were playing War Master, which is basically what this podcast is about, so I do need to talk about that, is you could get a command group and then a few packs of the warriors, and then as there's multiple flags, if you got one command group and then the buy 3 get 1 free on the regulars, then you'd have 5 units, and you'd certainly have enough for at least 2 War Master units. At least 2, well, yeah, 2 War Master units would be with a bit of variety as well, which is always what you're looking for. So that would be good. That would be good, and that would probably be about, now it would probably be running towards 14 or 15 euros a unit. let's see what we got here. So that one's a bit bent over, so we'll not go for him. This guy here, so that a little bit over, so it's at 13 mil. This guy about 13 mil. So they're the same size, obviously, as the reptilian non-command group. And then we've got, that's quite a nice design here, like barnacly. And on the reverse, we've got a drummer here. I don't know what he's playing. Is he playing a shield? A plate or something? Okay, and here we have. Yeah, I do like them. I think these would look very effective as lizardmen for sure. Nice. So we're going to push on, and we're just going to talk now. We're just going to, now I've showed you that they can be in multiple lists, I'm going to finish off the Arox list, and then I'll record a separate video going through the Sorgax list. But I just wanted to be plain from the outset that you can collect these miniatures and use them in multiple armies. So Reptilians, SPCR 0002, 0022, and they are elite choice for the Arox. So we'll open up and have a look. Again, everything's lizardy, so we'll look what kind of lizardy these fellows are. Okay. Okay, so we've traded in our swords now for kind of wooden clubs with beefy fellas, aren't they? We'll have a look at the other set. As I said before, there's a lot of nice sharp, crisp details, especially on the spines. I mean, you could feel like you could almost stab yourself on those. They're brilliant, and they'll if you're using contrast paints, they'll come out amazingly well. So let's have a look at the old tape measurers, the old rule as usual. Let's see where we are. So we're on about, what's that, about 12.5, 13 mil again. So some more big boys, big lizardy boys. Yeah, there you go. So what's that? That is about 12.5 mil, 12 mil maybe. So next up are the Rebuchons, SPCR 0006, and these are a rare unit for the Arox. Let's open this up. Well, without losing my hand, hopefully. Oh. There we are. I'm going to lose my hand this time. There we go. Let's see what's inside. Square bases. So I've only come across the round bases a couple of times, and only once on camera. So these are, right, for a start, there are only 4 of them, and they go on 4 square bases, so it's 1 per base. So, oh, these are big fellas, aren't they? Big, fat, look at that big bullfrog there. Nice. So I think the blister pack's the same price. I think it's €6 something per pack. I'll confirm that pricing for the next time I record. And yeah, you put the 4 of these, 1 per base. I guess it's the same minimum unit as this, the 4 models, and the maximum unit is 4 times this, which I believe they do as a pack where you can buy 4 packs for the price of 3. So big fat toad-like fellas. Okay. Okay, and so after that we're on to our unique items, unique choices. We have the Golden Guards, who are like our Rebuchons that we just dealt with in the elite section, but a little bit more elaborate and carrying spears. I don't think the other fellas had anything at all, just their froggy fists to fight with, if I remember rightly. Let's get them out. Come on, froggies. Yeah, just their froggy fists, and these guys have got froggy spears. So, one per stand again, and we have, yeah, 4. Quite interesting headgear, isn't it? So we have some interesting jewellery on these fellas, some interesting headgear. As with all these things, there's quite a lot of muscle definition. They will definitely take contrast paint quite nicely, and I think there's a, they're not comic, but they've definitely, some of them have got a quite a light-hearted vibe to them, which I kind of like. I think fantasy should be light-hearted. Yeah, so they're a unique unit called the Golden Guard, and then there's another unique unit, so we might as well get these both done on this one. And this is he's a big Forgon. His name is Forgon, SPCR 0027, and he's it looks like a toad with wings. But we'll get him open and have a look. Okay, we got one bigger base here. Very nice. Look at that on the bottom there. Spellcrow 2019. Plastic or resin base? Can't tell. Sometimes I think it's a resin base. It's sometimes quite hard to tell what they're made of, but I think judging by the way this is done here, I'm guessing this is resin. You get this big fella, and you also get a choice of two neck pieces. So this is neck piece 1, and then this thing here would be the alternative neck piece, which would sit where this one sits. I haven't broken it off yet, and just gives them a slightly different vibe. So that's cool. I don't know if that's going to be because in the other unit he's got a slightly different design, or if it's your choice, you can just have him with this crest or the other crest. But that's always cool. Anything that adds variety and difference between, if you've got two of the same model, then that's fantastic. It's fantastic. So I think this one's a little bit more expensive, at the same kind of price, €8 something as the Command Group. But yeah, that's the end of everything I've been sent for the Arox army. So hopefully you like looking at these miniatures. I always like to look at nice miniatures, and they certainly got some good sculpts. I like the way they're designed. This fella, I suppose, as it's not a 10mm, we should maybe have a little bit of a look at him. So what kind of length has he got? 16mm from the eye, and we have about 28mm from there. So he's like, yeah, he's like the size of a giant would be in Warmaster. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully you'll enjoy the next 3 or 4 when I talk about the other bits that I was sent for the other armies, and also talk through some of these sculpts again in relation to the Sorgax army list. And if you do, then I guess you've got to say that old like and subscribe stuff. Although you're probably watching these because you like Warmaster anyway.